Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first regular meeting of the BOCC for March of 2022. Thanks for coming out on the cold day, and we'll get people out before the snow starts, I know. And welcome to any of those that may be watching online or reviewing this later. Before we call to order and do the roll call, I'd like to invite Pastor Bob Meyer up to provide an invocation and lead us in the pledge.
I love that in this county we start things with prayer and we recognize who's almighty around here. Let's pray. Father, we worship you this morning. We remember who you are and who we are. You are the ruler of the universe, and we are your beloved children. If we've accepted Jesus as our Savior, we are invited into intimate fellowship with you, and you care deeply about us. Thank you for these men and women who are willing to stand out, take a stand on things that are critically important. And I pray for each of these county employees. Every one of them will encounter people who are upset with them and angry about things. And I ask that you would give the supernatural wisdom and courage to every one of these employees to not respond in kind, to think about the fact that there's a reason why this person is upset. Maybe it's not a good reason, but they've got a reason. And to listen with kindness and to respond in a loving way. Father, I pray for our nation now at a time where so many things are just plain messed up. I pray that you would create, that you would cause a great spiritual awakening, and I acknowledge that it'll start with your people. When your people humble themselves and pray and repent, that you'll bring about a great spiritual awakening and heal our land. And I pray that you'd begin that now with us right here. And I pray that you protect this country against the forces of evil arrayed against it, enemies without and enemies within. Thank you for all of our first responders who are putting their lives on the line on a regular basis to protect our citizens. Give them courage from you, give them wisdom in the heat of the moment to react in the way that's appropriate. They certainly need that. They encounter situations that are so difficult. And they carry that home with them. Often it grieves them. Lord, give them wisdom to turn to you and to trust in you. Thank you for our county commissioners. They've taken some hard stands in good ways. Protect them from the attacks of the evil one. Give them courage and strength in you. Thank you for this meeting. Pray for your guidance, and we know we can trust you for that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. So time is 9:07. Amanda, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Pettit?
Here.
All right, first item of business we have is approval of the agenda. So I understand we have no changes today.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. First item of business we have are the items on consent.
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Alrighty. Elected officials, department head, staff reports. Do we have anything from elected officials? Seeing none. Sam?
Good morning, Commissioners. Sam Elbert, County Manager. Just have one update on their staff reports, and then I'll invite Bobby Chevalier up for a report on the public workshop. As you know, one of the goals that we had this year with finance was to kick off a budget steering committee, and we had that meeting, and it is that group consists of a commissioner, a couple of elected officials, some department heads, and facilities and finance, and we are looking at a wide variety of things, including the reserves, trying to determine mid-year if there's extra projects that we want to do. We'll take a look at all the ARP funding also, and of course, review of the 2023 Commissioner's budget goals. So good meeting, kickoff meeting, and we expect to continue that work, and we'll give you regular updates if needed.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? Okay, thank you. Bobby?
Good morning, Commissioners. Bobby Chevalier, Elbert County Facilities. So as you know, we're moving forward on the road and bridge shop. I think you all have the printout of what we're doing, but I'll just kind of run through everything, and if you have questions, we can answer them. So total budget for the project is $12 million. We've spent last year $582,000, a little bit over, engineering and architectural fees. This year we've already made one bond payment of $329,744. So total right now we've spent $912,000 for the project.
That 582 included the land purchase as well?
Yes, that was the land purchase and engineering. Yep. So FCI, which is who won the bid, who's going to be the GM or CMGC for the project, has given us their timeline on how things are going to go. We've moved up a little bit as far as when we break ground, and I'll kind of just go through where we're at right now. So in March, Wold will receive the pre-engineered metal buildings production drawings from FCI. Mid to late March is when we hope to have all of that complete. We've got to work to do our county planning review for the lot consideration, which is the lot line adjustment. So we're still working on that. We also need to set up a time and meet with the Kiowa Water Authority and get a contract or how we're going to approach the water and sewer for the property. We've had preliminary talks with them. Now it's just kind of fine-tuning how that all reads and what everybody's responsible for. Right now, we're about 95% construction drawings complete by the end of this month is what they're telling us. And then in April, we're going to review all the drawings, finalize the design footings, foundations, all of that. Wold has to coordinate with the metal building manufacturer, so we know where all the footings and foundations and all of that goes. So we make sure we don't have walls in the way, or, we're trying to make it all fit. Say issue 100% CDs to FCI for bidding, which is all of the construction documents. So for FCI's subs on the project. Submit 100% drawings to AJH for permit. That's a 4-week review with those folks. And then in May, they're going to go out to bid for 3 weeks for all of their subs. They'll receive those bids late May. They'll review them, make recommendations to us on who they feel like we should go with. So we have the final say in all of that. So June, they're going to start FCI to mobilize and get contractors under contract and receive the building permit. So we'll have all those documents and get all the permits pulled. And then FCI is going to move in July, mid to late July, and we'll start breaking ground mid to late July. August, just site work, and then just continue to keep looking at the drawings and making sure everybody's on track. And then October, we'll start putting that building up. So task this month that we need to get done this month is obviously working with Kiowa Water Authority, get all of that set up. The other component to that is to work with Farm Bureau to get that easement through them so that we can tie into the sewer. And then working with CDS on our lot line and the rezoning of the property. So we
I
got.
just have one question. The building materials, are we pretty confident they'll be available?
They're telling us they're available. We are already in their queue. Everything's there. They're telling us we're gonna be right on time. They have everything.
Including the doors?
Doors, everything. Yep. That's what they're telling us. Doors and windows right now, depending on manufacturer, some of them are 12 to 16 weeks. Others are 16 to 30 weeks. It just depends on where you're going with. So everybody's telling us we're gonna have everything. That's all we can go off of right now.
No, just appreciate it. It's been a long time since the county embarked on building a new facility, and the jail justice center was the last one, and
Yeah.
we're still paying for some of the decisions made along the way there, so appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and with our team, we're really working hard to make sure we're thinking of everything, not just present, but down the road. You know, I want to set us up for at least 30 years down the road where, you know, the decisions we make today is going to impact us down the road. So we're just trying to think everything through. So it's a slow process, but we're hoping we get it right the first time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, taking it slow is gonna be a lot better in the long run, so.
I think so.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Do we have any other staff reports? Nope, okay. Seeing none, we'll open up for public comment. Excuse me for a sec. Yeah, before we go to the room, Amanda, did we have anybody that sent an email comment or wanted to be called? Nope, okay, thank you. So we'll run down the list, and if there's others that didn't have the opportunity to sign in or do want to speak, this is an opportunity to bring to our attention any issues that aren't specifically on the agenda for the day. I'd start with Steve Wilson. And if you could, we've got it here, but just your name and address for the record and for people that are watching.
Yes, thank you. Steve Wilson, 23723 County Road 125, Simla, Colorado. Been in eastern Colorado 39 years. How the proposed XL transmission lines will affect our community. Number one, increased heartache. 2, loss of quality of life. 3, loss of property values. XL power lines are not benefiting our community. Our community members are customers of Mountain View Electric. Denver, the Front Range, and the metro area are XL customers. XL will with all of their money, are trying to jam the people of Elbert County, in my opinion. Moving the power lines 8 miles east of the Simla community was told to me Wednesday night to be too expensive. $2 million a mile, 8 miles up, 8 miles back, 16 total miles times 2 million equals 32 million, or 1.9% of a 1.6 billion project. Only 1.9%. Let those that need the electricity pay for it. Let Denver and the metro areas pay for it, and not the Elbert County homeowners and property owners. I asked XL Wednesday night why their eastern route went by all of these houses and did not go through state lease land where nobody lived instead. They said state lease land would be harder to get approved. Therefore, it's easier to go by our houses. At the meeting in Simla at Big Sandy School, there were 180 people in attendance. Most of these 180 people are Elbert County residents. I would expect all 180 people are opposed, and most are strongly opposed to these power lines being in Elbert County. I did not talk to one Elbert County resident that was in favor of these power lines. This past weekend, I drove from Lyman to Last Chance. Big spaces, a lot of wind turbines, few houses, but people who were welcoming the wind turbines for revenue. The majority of our people don't want what comes next, having wind turbines either. One of the XL proposals is to put the power lines down County Road 125. I talked to Robert Harris, Ty Ament, Debbie and Lane Carter, Jim and Jerry Digby, Barry Limley. Other neighbors include Ed Amon, Kyler and Casey Hamaker, and many others that don't want to pay for these power lines through our heartache, loss of our quality of life, loss of our property values. Today, I ask that our elected commissioners support the people of Elbert County by either rejecting XL's proposed power lines or move them east of Matheson and use the already approved existing corridor being used by the Rush Creek Wind Project. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I don't think you'll get a lot of argument here. No, we've got several people that signed up on that same subject, so I'll take them in that order. And Robert, I'm sorry, the name. It looks like it begins with a P.
It does.
Okay.
It's Robert Politic.
Oh, okay, thank you.
First of all, let me hand these.
Okay, appreciate
This
it.
is going to be part of my presentation.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Robert Politic. I live on County Road 73, 34006, County Road 73. Been a resident of Elbert County for about 26 plus years. And again, here's another Excel's story. On March 1st, Excel had their open house where they were presenting to the Elbert County community their plans associated with their build of a transmission line. They had various stations where they were trying to present to the community the benefits, the styles of tower, and so on. And one of the stations where you see right there was a map where they were asking community members, 280 of them, to place the place the game of pin the tail on your neighbor's property, as far as I'm concerned. And it was a rigged game because I went in at the very last to see what had happened and then see how they're presenting it. And I was given a dot and said, you can place it, anywhere on the map where you think the power line should go. And if you see the red arrow, you see where I placed my dot, and they got very upset with me. They said, no, you can only put it on one of the existing routes that we are, taking a look at. I believe that was very self-serving. I believe that at the same time, they're going to take information like this, and when they do their submittal to you as the county commissioners and the planning department, they're going to exclaim the fact that the county and the community members of the county have approved the line based upon this particular map, and or state, this is where your community has voted where we should put the line. When I questioned the individual that was the head of the particular open house, I said I wasn't given the opportunity to place it where I want. And she says, well, you're offered the opportunity to make a comment. I said, no, I was not. So I now know that, in fact, they did not tell members of the community that they could put it someplace else and or make a public comment regarding that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I know they're going to build it. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it should be east of 153 and 149. Using the existing right-of-ways that they have, and at the same time, prevent the domino effect of the wind turbines and solar farms. Just as an anecdote, I talked to a good friend of mine up in Boulder, and he's been in real estate for 30 plus years. And I said, with your community going green, you should put wind turbines up there. He said, oh, hell no. He says, why would I want to ruin my view of the Flatirons and depreciate the properties that I have up here, reducing their property value. He's been in real estate for many years, and he is very much on the right side.
Commissioners, that's 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Chuck Hughes.
Thank you. Officially Charles Hughes, but you can call me Chuck.
It's all right.
And I'm at 19753 Wiedemeyer Road, Kiowa, in the Bijou Basin. Steve, great job. I will join Steve in all of that and add our Trump one, which is wildlife. In the Bijou Basin, to quote our game parks and wildlife representative, the Bijou Basin is the best wildlife habitat in Elbert County. So I am hugely interested, and I put that one at the top of my list. You might jot it in there someplace. Okay, I want to talk about House Bill 1104. My gosh, I read through that. Are those people in Denver knucking futs or what?
Yes.
They think they're going to take that power line thing and put a bunch of lipstick and eye mascara on that pig, and we're going to like it. But they're not even bright enough to put eye mascara and lipstick on it that we will even like that part of it. Trails under the power lines that we must give them access to, maintain, ensure, and they're just putting lipstick and eye mascara on a pig and it's salt in the wound. It just makes a horrible situation even worse. So do whatever we can in this county, and we're going to do our part to oppose that bill. But it already passed the House on a straight party line vote, which is just, it's atrocious. Question from you guys. Normally when you vote on something, does 2 out of 3 carry?
Yes.
Okay, there has been petition-driven activity that says for particular items, and of course ours is this crazy Excel plan, that 2 out of 3 doesn't carry, that it has to be unanimous. Can that be done? Other counties, 2 of them in Kansas, have done that for this renewable energy nosebleed. Are you asking about commissioner vote? Uh-huh. And there's 2 counties in Kansas that drove something that says a single nay vote can shut down the project. And, you know, you guys, I'll trust you guys. You're on my side. I know that. But you're not going to be county commissioners forever, and things change. So I just wanted to suggest that we have the ability to, on some issues, to require a unanimous vote and let one dissenting vote shut down a project like that. Because this one needs to be shut down. Thank you.
Mr. Hughes. Did we have anybody else that wanted to talk on this subject, since we've had several speakers? Okay. If not, and we'll address public comment at the end. But the next we had was Maggie Weatherby.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Maggie Witherby, 44447 Homestead Road in Sun Country. I'm here on behalf of Elbert County Stands Up. We are a group that supports freedom and liberty, and we got started shortly in 2020 after the closures of schools, businesses, education. So we continue to work on issues relating to freedom, and we have an event coming up that I want to share with everyone, and I want to invite our commissioners to. It's coming up this Sunday, March 13th. It's called the 2022 COVID Summit, Protect Our Children. And the issue is, we'd like to halt the injection of the COVID so-called vaccine to our children, all under the age of 18. Children are not at risk from the COVID illness, and there is no reason to put them in danger with these vaccines that to date, Recorded in the VAERS system with the CDC, there have been over 24,000 deaths recorded from the COVID vaccine. So putting our children in danger for no reason. And we're going to present this case on Sunday afternoon. We're going to be at Pine Valley Church in Elizabeth. Thank you, Bob Meyer. We appreciate that. And we will present our case to our commissioners who hopefully will be attending, to our county officials, to the public who will be attending as well. So come and listen, learn about why we should not be doing this, learn about why we should be protecting our children. We thank the commissioners for working with us, and they have been excellent listeners and working with us in the past year and a half. So we sincerely appreciate that. I think one thing I've done this morning, Rick, can you hold up the book on Anthony Fauci? I've given the commissioners each a book called The Real Anthony Fauci, written by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. If you haven't read that, get that. It's about $20 on Amazon. But it goes into depth on who this person is and what he's been doing in our government and the CDC since 1984. So thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing all of you on Sunday afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. I know Robert and Lori had signed up, but we'll be covering the library stuff next in discussion. Was there anybody else present that wanted to make public comment at this time? If not, I'll close public comment. Just a quick response. I know both Rick and Grant were able to attended quite a bit of the March 1st presentation that went over at the fairgrounds. I've been in contact with our opposite numbers down in El Paso County, because I think as they look at potential routing of these lines where it exits and enters the counties, or if those are synced up, it makes it easier to move. And I know they are very concerned about moving theirs eastward as well because of potential impacts on glide paths for Schriever and other of the Air Force facilities out there. So moving away was good for them. On the power line bill, or the walking paths under the power line, I know that's moving forward. There was at least an amendment pushed forward by the organization of counties that landowners can't be forced to allow those paths they'll be offered the opportunity. It's an interesting opportunity, but it won't be prescriptive. So again, it's minor, but it was a little move in the right direction on that. But I'll open it up if you guys have any comments.
Yeah, my comment is from a personal aspect. We don't have an application before us, so we don't have any real idea where they really want to put the line. They're playing games with us in that it's here, it's there, it's somewhere else. And again, maybe it's the engineer in me coming out. I like to see specificity so I can analyze it and come up with a reasonable presumption of terms of implementation and that kind of thing. As far as the Bijou Basin is concerned, I live in the Bijou Basin, so I understand completely. I live on the eastern edge of it. But that's not the point. The point is that from a population density point of view, fire mitigation, wildlife, and all these kind of things, I have encouraged XL to move east. And I guess I failed a little bit in that I told their lobbyist that they need to go east of 125. So the last mapping idea they had is down 125. And I talked to their lobbyist, and he says, Grant, I must have misunderstood you. So we're still, in my mind, maybe I'm saying living in the land of wishful thinkers, but I think we're still a ways away from having a route that will be acceptable to the county. There's a lot of work to be done. We have no formal application yet, so a lot of our concern is real, but we don't have anything to really specifically analyze. And again, that's my engineer me coming out. I like to look at things and analyze them. But I agree with some of the statements that said, my preference, and it's a strong preference, is to have it parallel to the Rush Creek line if it happens.
Yeah, I think all three of us, share everybody's concerns and everything about the power lines, and we've talked to enough people and they've talked to us about their concerns, so we recognize that. But like Grant said, until we get a formal application and consider where it's going and what it's doing, that's when we would have to make our decision. And then we need, between now and then, we just need to do our homework on what we can do if we approved it or if we turn it down. Make sure we follow the proper procedures and everything, and just don't jump into it and this and that. We need to have our ducks in a row, because even if we turn it down, they can go to the PUC and they could overturn us, is my understanding. So we want to make sure if we do make a decision one way or another, we've got our facts that we can base a solid decision on.
Yeah, so I just encourage all the public input that you can do that goes through to the PUC, to themselves. Keep doing that. And Mr. Was it Politek? Yes. Thank you. And it's tremendously disturbing when they're out there doing public presentations and they're not being forthright and forthcoming. I mean, the whole purpose of those should be to share openly and honestly information, so we can get to the right answer for our county, not just to, collect useful information to make their case. So, if you see more of that, or if anybody does, please let us know, because when we're considering applications, we expect the applicant to be negotiating in good faith with us. That has quite a bit of sway in the final decisions too.
Just one final comment. I personally appreciate the people that live out there. We can argue where out there is, but live out there, come to these meetings and present their ideas, because these ideas are recorded and then they go on the minutes of our website. So the general public can go on there and they can listen to your comments. Now, I'm not going to look you in the eye and say there's going to be 26,000 people that do that. But even if 10 do that, they talk to their neighbors and those kind of things. So you get a multiplier effect. So you're coming to our meetings here, making your presentation, having them recorded, going to the county website, I think has value.
All righty, thank you. I want to move on to our discussion items for this morning. The first was our receipt of the annual library report, and I guess we'll also be discussing a nomination for a new trustee. I think, Lori, were you presenting, or? Oh, okay. Already. It's all right.
Thank you. My name is Ruben Figueroa. I'm at 23937 Broadway Street in Elbert. I am the branch man. Ruben Figueroa. Yes. I'm the branch manager for the Kiowa and Elbert libraries, as well as an interim director for the library district. If you have your reports in front of you, we can go through that. So with the state of the trust, it really just kind of covers the brief update from the last couple of years, as we are the holders of the tax monies. With the revenue, the majority of our revenue comes from the property taxes, and that's going to be shown over here in the actual column. That's the $1,115,708. And with that, you'll see the budget column on the right-hand side. That was a modest budget estimate of what we were expecting to take in. So you'll see that between that and the specific ownership taxes, we did take in more than anticipated. So our total ended up being $1,312,550. As we go down in the expenses, the district did spend 86% of the budgeted amount. We were 136,122 under. You will notice on there that with personnel, this will cover all of our salaries as well as any additional benefits and the like. With the administration, that is going to cover, counter to what it sounds like, it's actually covering stuff such as the office supplies, the audit costs, repairs, professional services such as our courier, legal counsel, etc. This also covers Treasurer Hewlett's fee for administrating the collection of taxes, which comes out at 3%. With our material and supplies, you'll notice that it is way under. That actually came from our auditor. With the way that we handled it in the past, that's been tracking all of our books, DVDs, etc., a lot of the materials that we check out. Because they are items that are intended to stay in the library for longer than a year, and they depreciate over time, she said this would no longer be the way to categorize them. So she had us move them, and this will be reflected differently in this year and next year's budget.
Okay, just so I'm tracking, is that 5,600, is that the amount that was?
So that's what was spent of what she said would still fall under the materials and supplies. So that's going to be stuff such as our magazines and the short-term items that are intended to stay in the library for under a year, and they don't depreciate over time. So we did spend, I believe it was around 68,000. I stapled these wrong. 68,093 was spent on our books and materials that would have fallen under that normally, but is now being reappropriated in terms of the way that it's classified.
Thank you, because at first glance.
Yes, yeah, it is we were wondering that too, of why is this, and so we got that explanation in that route. And then when you're looking at our purchase services, this will include all of our computer networking, databases, internet tech support. And then under the purchase services, this would, under the fixed charges, that's going to be our janitorial, our grounds maintenance, utilities, trash services, the similar rent, and property insurances. And then miscellaneous is going to be inclusive of our grant monies, as well as any programs and activities that we provide for the community, such as the summer reading program, story time. When we go into the reserves, this is going to be the money that was accumulated to further our expansion of the libraries. And as per the requirement of the Tabor Act, it's going to be that we are allowed to keep 3% of our spending as the reserves. So you'll see that we were able to increase by $431,539 the prior year of 2020. Do we have any additional questions on that portion of it?
I understand the merits of a conservative budget, but one of the things that does bring up the question, realistically, what should the budget be? For these percentages difference and increasing the reserve by basically $450,000, much of which was the budget expense. I guess where I'm going is, I understand conservatism, but realism is important. What would you do in future years to be more realistic in terms of what your projections are?
Absolutely. So we've been talking with the CPA as well as our auditor about reflecting the budget. So our board will be taking that into consideration throughout the year and voting to amend the budget as the year goes through, rather than the prior method of handling, which was making the estimate and working into it. That's still going to be included in the fall. It will just be reflected more accurately as the year goes on.
We have the same issue in the county because back in the 2005s, 8s, and there, the predictability of income was a lot less real.
Right.
today, and especially with your experience, you should be able to come up with a more realistic budget.
And that's one of our goals for this year. We are intending to make that a bit more cut and dry for us, to save us a headache.
If you guys come up with your plan on how you're gonna spend that reserve to upgrade the libraries and that, I mean, we sort of have the same problem here of getting reserves and stuff, but we need to make sure that we have a plan so that the public can look at it and say, okay, this is why the money is being saved and this is what we're gonna do with it, as opposed to just collecting excess reserves and not having a plan for it. And I know that's one thing we're trying to work with at the county right now, is come up with those strategic plans so we can justify those amounts that are sitting in the reserves.
Absolutely. So currently we are working on evaluating it. Our former director, Tim Miller, did estimate in his calculations that we'd want to be looking around 2 million in reserves to go into the project for the libraries portion, so that we really have solid footing in terms of what we can do for the community. Toward that end, our board of trustees has set aside 50 grand this year to do research between architects and surveys with the community to figure out what the community truly wants in the space, because they do have the old plans from when the building was initially purchased in Elizabeth, and they don't want to just go off of that because it's been years since then, and now we're just looking at a different reality. So they are planning to do research through this year.
I appreciate it, Ruben. And just for those that, it may seem weird that a separate government entity, the library district, is providing a report to us, but it kind of ties back to strange Colorado statute where it's an independent district, it has taxing authority, but unlike other governments in the state, the board isn't directly voted for by the people. So in this case, the library has a responsibility to provide a report through us, because also the trustees are appointed to us but nominated by the libraries, and I think that's kind of the next part of this, is a nomination coming forward from the libraries to fill a vacancy. So
Absolutely.
if you don't have any, if you have any
I just wanted to
comments,
let you
we'll take
all
them.
know just a couple more things of where we're at right now. As you know, there have been some changes. We are down our financial administrator as well as our director, but our board of trustees does want to be diligent in the way that we replace the library director. They want someone who can take the library to new heights. So while they are working on their standards that way, they have nominated both myself and Lori Van Court as interim directors, so that we can split the duties up, since we are also managing our own branches. And then our third manager, Kathy Wilkinson, is now in charge of our payroll and bills, so she's able to take care of the day-to-day accounting. We have Mary Ellen, who is a CPA and MBA. She's been hired as an interim financial administrator to oversee the accounting of the library district. So she's also been advising us on some of the numbers and talking with the auditor and our board president, Patty Lampman, to make sure that we are proceeding with the diligence we need to be. And I think that actually covers most of that. And I'll let, did you want to add anything, Laura? Yeah. All right, well, I want to thank you for your time and for letting me speak.
Yeah, thank you, Ruben. Robert, I believe you were on the schedule to... Oh, please don't. Yeah.
Before I start this, I'd like to thank the board for your patience as we've gone through, quite a bit of turmoil at the Pines and Plains libraries. Some of it COVID related, some of it personnel issues, and then people just moving on. And we were sort of in crisis mode for a while, and we knew you guys were aware of it. and we did want to thank you for your patience. I think the ship is righted, and we're on our way. So today I'm bringing forward this letter to you, and I'll just read it. Unfortunately, my printer died, so I only have one copy. You get it, Chris. And then if I have to leave some money for copies, I will, I guess. I don't know. All right, dear Commissioners, at the March 9th BOCC meeting, Pines and Plains Library, PPL, presents the recommendation of the appointment to its Board of Trustees, Sheila Zuschek, for replacement of Trustee Jim Duval to fulfill the remainder of his appointment to January 2024. 4 applicants were considered for 1 open position. All 4 had submitted written application forms and resumes. 1 applicant withdrew during the scheduling of the interviews due to other personal commitments. Another individual withdrew their name after the interview had been scheduled with no reason for their withdrawal provided. The 2 remaining candidates were interviewed by the interview committee. The committee reported the results of the interviews to the board at the February 23rd, 2022 board meeting. The Board of Trustees voted unanimously to recommend Sheila Zuschek. Sheila Zuschek is recommended to fill the remaining of the term of former board president Jim Duval, who resigned in late November 2021. Jim Duval's term expires January 2024, and pursuant to CRS section 24-90-1083B and Article 2, section 4 of the PPL's bylaw, Mrs. Zuschek will either have to be reappointed or replaced at that time. Sheila Zuschek brings extensive skills and knowledge to the Board of Trustees as provided below. Sheila Zuschek is a professional meeting planner for the United States courts and an active community volunteer in Elbert County. I believe one of you had a bowl of chili that she presided over. Could be, at any rate. She grew up in rural Oklahoma and spent her summers in central Kansas on her grandparents' farm. To this day, she loves life on the plains. Sheila attended the University of Kansas, where she obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in anthropology and a Bachelor of Science degree in advertising. She began her career in Kansas City, working for a public relations firm, but quickly moved to meeting and planning, and event planning, a career she has enjoyed for the past 25 years. While living in Kansas City, Sheila founded a 501c3 nonprofit organization, Circola Italiano, dedicated to sharing Italian language and culture. Through that group, she began connecting different Italian culture and heritage organizations across the city on matters of mutual interest. Ultimately, she took a position with the United States Court for the District of Kansas. In 2006, her career brought her to the Denver area when she took a transfer to the United States Courts of Appeal to take over planning educational conferences and administrative meetings. She finds service to others to be most gratifying part of her job. She moved to Elbert County in 2014 and 2016. She and her husband began planting their lavender field for what would become Ponderosa Plains Farm Corporation. In 2017, Mrs. Zuschek helped found the Elbert County Agricultural Alliance, a 501c3 dedicated to providing education on homesteading and agricultural business skills and promoting agricultural-related businesses in and around Elbert County. She has served as secretary for that organization for all but 1 year since its formation. She currently writes the organization's weekly newsletter, leads its educational programming, and heads its agro-tourism initiative. That's a mouthful. Through ECAA, she is most gratified when she is able to connect people with resources and help area farmers, ranchers, and homesteaders develop their business. In 2021, she joined the board of Elizabeth Area Chamber of Commerce, for which she currently serves as secretary. She also led the educational programming for that organization's 2021 calendar year, as well as leading the initiative to apply for grant funding in support of the Chamber's educational programming. Most recently, she and the Chamber's executive director secured matching funds in support of a grant application for tourism marketing funds to be used for designation marketing training for business owners and brand developing for the region. They are currently finalizing that grant application. Sheila is a lifelong beneficiary and advocate of libraries, as well as arts and humanities. She is enthusiastic about supporting and expanding the library services. Her primary area of interest is fundraising and researching grants in support of the county's libraries. Her experience, networking, and relationship building skills will be valuable to our work. Thank you for your consideration of this nomination, and that's signed Patty Lampin, who is the president.
Thank you, Robert. When's your next board meeting?
It'll be the last Wednesday of this month.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I was just saying, as we hadn't teed this up for approval, but we can take it on consent at our next meeting, so I think she'd be available to be seated for you. I guess you've had her chili. But I've met her through the Ag Alliance work and through the Chamber as well, and I think you've made a good choice. Do you have any comments? Or no? Okay. So if you have anything else you'd like to add, or you?
No, I'm a very positive person in this respect.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll make sure we'll make it sure it's in part of the package.
One of the things, going back to the financial though, the expense sheet is very nice, but because you capitalize so many items, you need a balance sheet so we can see, and because basically the numbers you presented, that kind of thing is hidden. So a balance sheet, then we can see the growth in the asset base. I'm sorry for changing the subject on.
We're still on the same topic.
And the same team?
Yeah. No, much appreciated. Did we have any public comment on the discussion item? If not, I do appreciate you guys coming out. And again, I know it's kind of an odd lash up of relationships between two governments, but thank you for what you do in the community. All righty, moving on. The next item we have on discussion was a revision to an open space agreement for a property adjacent to Spring Valley Ranch. Bart, could you kind of run through where we're at on that?
So what I can tell the board at this point is we've been working for several years at this point on identifying county properties and coordinating amongst ourselves with the review of which of those properties we can utilize for public purposes such as recreation, trails, some more substantive open space requirements. And so there is open space that is directly adjacent to Spring Valley Ranch, which is approximately 151 acres. The issue that we ran into was there were some restrictions on the conveyance of that property, which really limited the county's ability to open that up for recreational purposes. And so over the past year, I've been working with Spring Valley Ranch, the special districts, and the original parties that conveyed that property to expand the county's ability and reduce the limitations on that conveyance so that we can utilize that property for public recreational purposes with a lot less limitations. And so we're very close to final language on documentation that would allow for that. I would say my expectation is in the next month or two, we should have final language that I should be able to bring to the board for execution by the board that will allow us to move forward with that path.
Yeah, I think this is good news, is that I've read the deed, and it is highly restrictive in such that, and this goes back historically, I'm going to say 20 years ago, that it was conveyed as open space, and it was conveyed under the issues at the time. And in those days, open space was just considered something you drive by and look at. But as the population in the county has grown, particularly in the surrounding area, it would be nice if we could utilize that land for the benefit of our county citizens. Right now, the biggest issue is whether we rent it out and let cows graze on it or something like that. That's not for the community. So, and we got to give Bart credit and a couple of others. They've been working on this for, I'm going to say, a year and a half or so to try and solve the problems. For example, the deed says the water under that particular piece of ground have been severed and can't be used. So one of the things they're working on, so we can bring a little bit of water in, so we can have toilets and things like that. So if people use the land, it's for the benefit of the public. And its location is ideal for this. It's up on Singing Hills Road, right by that fire station there, the one that's to the east. And it surrounds it, and it backs up to Spring Valley Ranches. And there's not only that, there's restrictions on the old deed that thou shalt not walk on this piece of land. So how do you enjoy that for the community? Got to give Bart credit. He's working on it, and I think we're very close to getting it. So we can perhaps work with Elizabeth Park and Rec and those kind of things to make it a community piece of property.
Any comments on this item? Nope. Appreciate it. Just be good to get that one over the finish line so we can actually look at it as a piece of usable recreation open space versus, as you said, a quarter section to look at behind the firehouse. Yeah. All righty. Then I guess the next one's yours as well, just to update on, there's some clarification language on PUD, the PUD process.
Sure. Bart Greer, County Attorney, again on discussion item number 3, specifically updates to the plan use development and plan use development amendment regulations. This is really an effort to simplify the regulations surrounding PUDs and PUD amendments. Quite frankly, it's a little cumbersome in some ways for new applicants and applicants that want to amend plan use development. And so I'm making some proposed minor changes to the language on that. Again, I think we're very close. I believe we have this scheduled for the Planning Commission to review the language on that. And it really should help anyone that is considering submitting a plan use development or an amendment to a PUD to better understand the regulations with less legal jargon and maybe a little bit more common sense language. And so that's really the main goal.
And my understanding really is it's not to make it easier to make changes or easier to get an application through, but really to clarify the opening stages where it was a bit muddled, where if we have a concept brief pre-application where we can actually talk publicly to say, hey, this is acceptable or this is not acceptable to our community, or we really want you to look at water use, or we really have concerns about traffic, or the way our regulation was currently written, it was kind of hazy whether you were in the hearing application process yet, or we were just having open public discussion, kind of clarify that it's really like a community meeting for the commissioners versus
Correct.
a post-application item. And I know it's...
And I don't want to get too technical here, but you are correct. The main crux of the updates provide for what's referenced as a concept brief, which is really an additional opportunity for the community to hear what developments or changes to development may be coming. It allows for more transparency with respect to that as it relates to plan use developments and plan use development amendments. And so I think the proposed updates accomplish that. And as I said, it is on its way to the Planning Commission and ultimately to this board. So, this should be something that y'all see fairly soon.
And as regulatory changes, that'll go through public hearing process at Planning Commission and here, so. Any questions or comments? No. Any public comment on the discussion item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our action items for the day. The first is the consideration of minutes from our February 23rd meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the February 23, 2022 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our last meeting and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Our next is kind of a renewal of a resolution we passed last year in support of our local cattlemen. And as it was 15 degrees this morning and snow is coming and calves are dropping, it seems an appropriate time to renew that. So, Sam, if you could.
Commissioners, you're exactly right. We're going to renew that resolution. We tweaked it slightly from last year. If it's okay, I will read it in its entirety. Okay. Resolution 22-blank, recognizing the many past and current contributions of Elbert County cattlemen and other livestock producers in supporting the local ranching industry. Whereas Elbert County ranchers have been repeatedly recognized for their environmental stewardship by the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service, and whereas the 2020 to 2025 dietary guidelines issued by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration recognizes that a variety of animal and plant proteins is important to a healthy diet, and whereas cattle and other livestock are an important, extremely efficient means of converting dry land pasture grass to dietary proteins that are an important part of our citizens' diets, and whereas cattle and other livestock production has historically been and continues to be one of the key economic drivers in Elbert County, and whereas Elbert County cattlemen and our ranching families are part of a $4.2 billion state industry with a $40 billion economic impact and accounts for 10% of the state's total export sales. And whereas the U.S. Department of Agriculture reports in 2017 the annual sale value of Elbert County cattle, calves, poultry, and hogs exceeds $26 million, and whereas employment in the agriculture sector and related industries provides jobs to over 1,000 Elbert County citizens, a very large number of which are involved in ranching and livestock production, and whereas Elbert County is a declared right to farm county and is taking regulatory steps to protect our active farms and ranches. And therefore be it resolved that the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners of Elbert County, Colorado declares its support for our cattlemen and our livestock producers and proclaims March 18th, 2022 as Elbert County Cattlemen's Day. And finally, shall it be further resolved that all citizens of Elbert County are encouraged to include animal proteins as part of a healthy, well-balanced diet on March 18th, 2022 and every day, and approved and adopted this 9th day of March, 2022. Thank you.
Comments?
Just a quick comment. I support this resolution. But one of the things I just wanted to add is just a kind of a side item. I believe April 30th is going to be designated in Elbert County as a meet-in day. And there'll be a get-together at the Elizabeth Locker? Yes. So what was it last year that our governor kind of brought up this fact that thou shalt not eat meat on this specific day, and we as commissioners took a very strong standing that, doggone it, I'm going to eat meat that day, regardless of what the first gentleman says. So I support this resolution.
Yeah, no, I just was going to reiterate, I guess, the April 30th, Justin at the Meat Locker is kind of opening up a kind of community barbecue, and everybody's invited. I think he's planning a little bigger than last year with live music and other things, and had pushed it from March. I guess last year we had it was a 60-degree sunny day, and it was great, and I don't think he felt that he was going to risk hoping for that good weather this year, so it pushed it to the end of April. But
Commissioners, if we wanted to change the declaration date of that day to align with that, we could, or we'll do another one for the median day if you want.
yeah, we can take something later on that. But anyway, appreciate that. Do we have any public comment on this? Seeing none, I would accept a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution for the past and current contributions, Elbert County cattlemen and other livestock producers.
Second.
All righty, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries, and please do keep these folks in your minds. And I think there's some in this room that are actively out there. So this is a busy time of year, and it's an important time of year for our cattlemen. So thanks much. That was it for action items today. For board planning, I think we are looking at getting our annual report for 2021 from the planning department, just kind of what projects were approved and what changes have been accrued since then. And are we looking at a report next or in April for the ARPA funds?
Correct.
April?
Yep, April.
Okay.
Please.
All right, and we got our kind of standard.
And then the budget goals that we
Oh.
sent out, we can either do that after the next budget steering committee, or we can do it at the next meeting.
Yeah, why don't we take it after the steering committee meeting? If
Okay.
there's any recommendations or clarification, we can work it at that point. Oh. Yeah, let's see what comes out of that. All righty, and then I guess our standard second meeting items, and then we'll take the trustee appointment on consent, so that's completed. Well, that gets us going. We have no scheduled land use items this afternoon, so that concludes our business for today. I'd accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned. 10, okay.